And here we go. This is me not knowing if anybody is there, but I do know that the live is set. That the live is set and it should be on right now. So, hey, if anybody's out there, hi. How are you today? Again, this is Coffee Talk, obviously. Coffee Talk, obviously, impromptu live, just reaching out there and jumping out there to test a couple of things. And hell, may as well do a pet peeve situation, pet peeve episode. Don't know if anybody's there just yet. Usually I go live at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Monday through Friday, unless otherwise specified. But wanted to test the sound, and also wanted to test a different time slot a little bit. See, there's Cyberjack Senior. I know there's people watching, but not everybody chimes in, and it's all right. No big deal if you chime in or don't. It says places you can't go, says 5 by 5. Okay, so I can be seen and heard clearly. More important that I'm heard clearly than seen clearly, as the case may be. And so I'm going a little bit different here than normal. Of course, Coffee Talk on YouTube, podcast to Prepper University, and to Coffee Talk on both channels. And I have the other channel, Stray Cat Sanctuary, but I don't podcast to that, obviously, because that's only talking about our shelter cats. So there's no point talking about the news on there. Hell, half the time, I'm not sure I want to talk about the news at all because it's so freaking toxic. It really is. One of the main reasons that I keep it down to an hour is I do the podcast for an hour Monday through Friday. But then, yeah, okay, people would like me to do a longer podcast, and people ask me all the time, hey, can you make it a 2-hour slot? And I'm like, well, one, it's toxic to look at the news all the time, and two is that I don't have quite that kind of an audience, because ScrewTube seriously interferes with the channel. Seriously, regularly interferes with the channel, causes a lot of problems with this channel, makes it very, very difficult to reach anyone, to reach out to anybody. I'll put this up too. This is just putting things in the comments there about other information. There's the Twitter at Coffee Talk Chat, or X Twitter. It's not X anymore, is it? Is anybody even on X? I know we got rid of the majority of the bots, but again, social media, it barely moves. It barely moves. And that's kind of the big hurt when it comes to YouTube. And I've talked about YouTube a lot. And, while we're getting into the concept of pet peeves, that is a big one, is ScrewTube, as I refer to them, ScrewTube, because they are always putting the screws to their content creators, myself included, myself to a large degree, actually, with some of the things that they've done. And I've made many videos on it demonstrating the shadow banning, because I can actually prove it. I can actually prove it, balancing between the two channels, between Coffee Talk and Prepper University. I can demonstrate where putting a video, the exact same video, and in this case, a live production, doing the podcast every day, same podcast, live at the same time, same title, same description, under the same category, and one channel gets sanctioned and the other doesn't. Well, obviously something's wrong. Obviously something's wrong, and it's not the content. And if both get sanctioned, and I demonstrated this in a video, one will accept the appeal and one will not. One will accept it and one will not. So what's the difference? What's the difference? Obviously, there are tiers with ScrewTube and how they look at people and how they treat people. How they look at people and how they treat people. Cyberjack says he's on X, but he doesn't use it very much yet. And there's Tuck jumping in. Glad you could join us today. Again, impromptu live, just ranting a little bit. Was talking about ScrewTube here and how they shadow ban the hell out of everybody. And then they have the nerve to complain themselves because they've been complaining the last couple of years. We're not getting enough from the ad revenue. We're not making the ad revenue money like we used to. Hey, I got an idea. Let's do YouTube shorts. Okay, that'll help. How about you stop crushing your so-called content creators? Why don't you start there? When YouTube was making more from AdSense, because, you know, they take a piece of it. When YouTube was making more, they weren't throwing everybody off for the slightest bit of whatever, the slightest infraction, and then not even telling people, because they don't have to tell you what you're in trouble for. They just do it, or they mess with you, and easily demonstrated on both of these channels. Look at the numbers. If I put out a regular video, look how many views it gets. I think the podcast is keeping both channels alive at this point. Prepper University, again, 66,000 subscribers on Prepper University. That last video I put up, independent video, what's it got, 300 views on it? That doesn't add up. According to their own demographic, you should be getting a 10% audience ratio, which means that each video on that channel should be getting between 6,000 and 7,000 views. It's not. And I hear from people constantly. I was unsubscribed. I didn't realize. I don't get notifications, you know, whatever. Constantly on both channels, really. Prepper University and Coffee Talk. They just beat the hell out of it. No explanation. Platform demonetized once, no explanation. Didn't tell me why. Told me that their policy says they don't have to tell you. And then they sit there and have the nerve to complain that they're not making enough ad revenue. It's your own fault. It's your own fault for tormenting your content creators. I mean, what do you expect? Pretending, here's the hypocrisy of it, pretending to be protecting people on the platform because their little feelings might get hurt. Because I guess most adults aren't mature enough to decide for themselves what they should see and if they like something or not. You took away thumbs down. You can't see it anymore. You demonetize people without giving them explanations. You sanction people all over the place. And then you wonder why ad revenue's down. Well, if you won't let people put ads on their videos, gee, there's your answer. And then their solution is shorts. Shorts. And that shit doesn't work. I've talked about this too. I rarely do it. Every once in a while, something catches my eye, and I want to throw a thought out there. I don't do 10 shorts a day. I'm maybe one a week, something like that. I barely bother with it. I really could care less. But that doesn't help. There's the promise again. Oh, it'll help with your ad revenue. It'll help with subscriptions. It doesn't change anything. My biggest short, a Walmart short, it's got like 250,000 views on it, which probably doesn't even count as viral anymore in the modern era. But about 250,000 views on that one Walmart short. No change in the level of subscriptions and no change in ad revenue. So how does that help? What does that prove? Proves that it doesn't work. Proves that they are working against their so-called content creators instead of helping them. And again, then they have the nerve to turn around and complain about it. And then they tell you that the reason that they do all that is because they're, protecting the community. Meanwhile, the system that's in place routinely intimidates their content creators, constantly intimidates them, which is bullying. Your service is the biggest bully on the platform, but you're protecting us from each other somehow. I don't believe it. I mean, I'm old enough, mature enough that if I don't like a video, I just won't watch it. I'll turn it off. Half the stuff in there is trash anyway. Then you play this game, and I did a video about this not too long ago. Then you complain, or one of the ways that they shadow ban, and somebody told me that this channel is probably one of the most surprisingly shadow banned channels they've ever seen, is with making videos or earmarking them as for children. Keeping the community safe by marking them for children, which makes it impossible to find the video. You can't have a thumbs up on the video. You can't comment on it. You can't find it in regular searches. You can't put a link on the end of your video if they do that to you. It cripples you. It completely cripples you from being able to do anything with that video. So your system determined that it's for kids, and your solution is to make it impossible for kids to find it. Meanwhile, my kid could watch any old booty shaking, vulgar, violent garbage that makes up the other 50% of YouTube. That they can find. And John Boy's here. Glad you're here today. Again, impromptu, just testing a couple of things out. Taking an opportunity to just rant and carry on. But, it's not my normal time slot, so not as many people as normal. Although, of course, as with anything else, when you do a live stream, the majority of the people that see it are after the fact, not during the live stream, sometime later. They come through and they watch hours or days later in some cases. And more so on Prepper University than on Coffee Talk. If I got if I do a regular day podcast and it gets a total, say at the end of the week, of 500 views, 350 of them will be on Prepper University, because I would prefer to just keep the Coffee Talk daily podcast news segment just on Coffee Talk, but more people watch it on Prepper University anyways. And Chris is here, jumping in today, keeping us company, just going on and on about how YouTube oppresses everybody. YouTube, it really oppresses the people on here. You don't get much anyways. They crush their content creators, and they complain that they don't make any money from them. And it's just incredible. You can't let people decide for themselves. And Chris says, thanks for the bunker videos. Others got mad. I'm happy I know how to actually do it. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I know a lot of people got pissed off about those videos, but I mean, be mad. Be mad. Go ahead, build it, and kill yourself. That's fine. Go get crushed. Get crushed in your makeshift bunker. And South Florida is here, or AKA Doug, popping in. Glad you could make it. Been ranting a little bit about YouTube. I mean, I got some other things to complain about, trust me. But YouTube was one of the main ones because of just what they've done to these channels. They've really, and it's not just me. It's not just me. They've done other people dirty too. Another dirty trick that's been happening a lot. This has not happened to me. This has not been happening to me, but it has happened to a lot of content creators. A lot of people have been buzzing about it on social media, because the way it works is to get monetized, okay? You have to have a certain number of viewed hours in like a 90-day period. So in order to maintain it, you have to have like 3,000 regular watch hours. That is from a real dedicated video, a standard video, or a standard live stream, long form, right? 3,000 hours within every 3 months. So 1,000 hours of viewing per month. Okay. Which, by the way, Prepper University has 15 million hours. I can't tell. I'm not exaggerating either. 15 million hours. Excuse me. Or for shorts, 3 million hours in 30 days, or 90 days, excuse me. So 1 million hours per 30-day unit. And there are people that are getting a viral video. You know, they'll do a short, they get 25 million views out of nowhere, and they get monetized, and they're like, hey, I made it. Finally. And then like a few weeks later, ScrewTube pulls the rug out from under them and demonetizes the platform. What happened? Oh, well, it doesn't count. It doesn't count because you're not maintaining regular views, because what the system really wants is long form. So you get all these people conned into thinking that they're going to get monetized. They're going to get monetized for their short, and that's going to bring them out, and they're going to finally get something going on ScrewTube, and then ScrewTube turns around and kills it. John Boy says there was something said in your last video about property tax. Yeah, that was the live stream. I've mentioned it a few times, and I brought that up today on the regular podcast, talking about property taxes, and it's something, you know, I can look into later on, talking about just the history of property tax, because we really got screwed with that. We didn't used to pay property taxes. We didn't used to pay it, but that's changed. And property taxes, it started over 100 years ago. I know it was over 100 years ago. It was in the late 1800s, I think. But what the property taxes go to is a pet peeve also. There's the three things that I hate the most, that irritate me the most: taxes, child support, and the so-called justice system. And for a variety of reasons, really because of personal and professional experience. Now, property taxes, like 85+% of our property taxes is school tax. And we don't even have a kid in school, so why am I paying that? Why the hell am I paying that? There are certain things that are in the property tax that I get it. I don't want to pay it, but I get it. Like when they charge $15 a year for streetlights, or $22 a year for water and sewage. All right. That makes sense. I get it. But then you shouldn't be paying almost $2,000 for school tax and you don't have a kid in school. And then the public school system is one of the worst in the world. Kids graduating with what look like good GPAs. And by the way, in the state of Georgia, they have been in trouble many times for falsifying graduation data. Every couple of years, they get in trouble in audits for falsifying GPAs and for falsifying graduation data in Georgia. So you're taking all this money to run this indoctrination camp, this re-education camp, and turning kids into morons, and I've got to pay for it? I've got to pay for that. And then, and this is something that Chris is alluding to here in the comment. He says, I always found certain taxes insulting, like I bought the house and still got to pay monthly. I made the income and get taxed on my income. And there's Marvel Fan coming in, as well as Nature Nerd. So, yeah, I mean, the problem with that is you never really own your house. If you, for example, and I've seen this happen, you got a fine for noxious weeds or for not cutting your grass on time. Okay, code compliance. And forgot about it and didn't pay it. They can turn around and seize your house and sell it at a sheriff's sale to pay the fine and then give you the difference. I've seen that actually happen. And of course, it sells for pennies on the dollar. And yeah, they give you the difference back from whatever you owed in that fine, but you're screwed and you lost your house. And it sold for far less than it should have. Nature Nerd says property taxes should not be a percentage of the value of property because it means that if people upgrade the house, they pay more. Apartment prices go up the more units you put on the property. And there's Casey is joining us today. Marvel Fan says, I know many people have lost their homes after owning for over 30 years over stupid BS and taxes. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I have seen that happen. And I did a story many years ago. I don't remember where it was, but I remember the story. It was a woman, a widow, with a son, I believe was quadriplegic. And there was some percentage of school tax that was overlooked. It was something absolutely negligible. It was like $6.37 or something. Some error that she wasn't aware of. And the city claims, oh, well, we sent her a notice. I don't know if you sent a notice. All you have to do is type in your computer, yeah, we mailed a notice. That doesn't mean shit. You can fake that. So she claims not to have gotten a notice. And she says, or she probably didn't. And she was like, it's like $6 and change. I'd have paid that. They seized her house and sold it at sheriff's sale. And she was squatting in her own house, refusing to leave and trying to fight the system. The house, I'm trying to remember. I want to say it had a value of like somewhere close to $300,000, and it sold at the sheriff's auction for like $102,000. And they took whatever they claimed was owed and offered her the difference back. And it's like, you sold the house for far less than it's worth. You ripped me off. I don't know how that ended up either. I don't know if she ever got that resolved. But I read the story like a few years back. Read that story a few years back. How they burn you with that. The county will rob you blind. The county will rob you blind. And that's how Alex Jones got started. Exposing his county for doing that to elderly people and cheating them out of their homes. Way back at the beginning of his career, that's how Alex Jones got started. Discovered it, exposed it to local news media. JJ says stories like that make my blood boil. I don't blame you. It's absolutely horrible. Stealing from these people, stealing over bullshit. They made fun of that in Hitchhiker's Guide. If you recall, in the very beginning, if you ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, some of you guys, or maybe you saw the movie. I think they did this. They did the scene in the movie. It opens up where he's laying on the ground in front of his house trying to stop a bulldozer from running the property over. And they're telling him, hey, it's been public notice that we were going to repurpose this property for months. And he was like, yeah, in the basement of the courthouse on a bulletin board at the end of a closed off stairwell. Who sees that? How the hell am I supposed to know? Because that sort of thing really happens. That sort of thing really happens to people. It's crazy. There's Brian. Brian joining us here today, as well as Granny. Hello, Granny Smith. Come here, darling. Say hello to everybody. One of our felines currently taking care of 15 cats that we're sheltering. This is one of the ones that is a permanent resident. Permanent resident, really, because she is smart enough to refuse to leave. We did attempt to adopt her once before, and she acted like an absolute wild gorilla. She went nuts. She went absolutely nuts, didn't you, the little brat? So we ended up having to take her back. But for me, she acts like this. When they tried to handle her, they thought they were going to die. Isn't that right, Granny Smith? Say hello to everybody. She's like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I like it here. That's fine. We'll keep you. Spoiled brat. That's what it is. Lady Pop Hunter says, did President Trump say more about eliminating income taxes? Is it still on the table? It is still on the table, but he's got to claw back enough first to set the stage for that. And that's actually something that DeSantis is working on in Florida right now. He doesn't want to charge people property tax anymore. He thinks it's stealing, and he wants to walk that back. Sven says the overlords know best. Indeed. And Nature Nerd thinks an Alex Jones the movie would be good. Who would you get to play him? Danny DeVito is too old. Yeah, John Boy says she knew where her home was. Yeah. But yeah, because we had a handful we were bringing up for adoption. It was all arranged through Paws. Was it Paws? Helped us out with that. And they tried to get a hold of her. Oh, man, she went bonkers. Absolutely nuts. And I'm like, Granny Smith? Her? She's like the most timid animal that we have. Sits she's a quiet little gentle thing. She makes all these weird beeping and clicking noises. She doesn't meow. And yeah, she went nuts. Absolutely nuts. So I guess we just have to keep her. But yeah, the taxes drives me nuts. We're overtaxed. The money is wasted. This is being very heavily exposed with Doge right now. How much the money is being wasted, how much of our money that they throw around. And in particular, I have a huge issue with the IRS because of my personal experiences with them. Going way back more than 10 years on a situation that wasn't even really mine, that I got stuck with, that they ballooned. It was like $23,000 apparently that was owed, and they turned that into $96,000 or $97,000 with fees, penalties, and interest in less than a year. And you can't negotiate with these people. There's no oversight. They do whatever they want. And the people that I was dealing with were so shady. It was like having the Sopranos coming around. They come and they show the badges. coming 2 by 2. You got any coins? You got any jewelry that we can take? I'm not kidding. Being asked questions like this. I don't have any, you don't have any gold coins or anything like that? You don't have any jewelry? No, I don't even wear jewelry. I don't have anything like that. And then talking to having to get, and unfortunately I could afford it at the time, tax attorney and an accountant. The tax attorney's like, you didn't give him anything, did you? That's how they steal. They would have pocketed that. Trust me. Like, oh my God. And who do you tell? I had another agent ask me for a bribe over the phone, trying to negotiate. And who do you report that to? And how do you prove it? How do you prove that? You call up. You can't even call the IRS. They won't talk to you. Go to their offices. They won't talk to you. Who do you even talk to? And then if you can complain, if you could complain, what are they going to do? Pass the note from one cubicle to the next? Hey, somebody's complaining about Bob. Let's really put the screws to this guy. You're helpless. You're absolutely helpless, and they know it. They seized a property from me, and it never reflected. It took months for the tax attorney to get them to even admit they took it. Like 5 months to admit it. And to this day, I don't know if it was applied against what I owed. They reduced it to $67,000, and then the tax attorney is like, it should be 23. It should be. It's crazy how they treat you. But again, I mean, asking me for bribes, asking me for gold coins. The hell is wrong with these people? They operate with no oversight. That's the problem. JJ suggests Jack Black is Alex Jones. Maybe. It's about the right size. Chris says Granny saw new people and immediately started boxing. Pretty much. Plus, she won't go outside, which is ironic because she was a feral outdoor cat living under a shed. And she was scared to death when we brought her in because her elbow was broken. She is crippled. She is permanently handicapped. She does walk with a limp because the elbow was broken so badly it never healed right. Brought her in, and once she calmed down, she didn't want to go back outside again. She just decided, okay, this is the life for me. And which is fine because she's a sweetheart. She's pretty quiet. Major Nerd says Doge and Trump's policies lower inflation, while the media says Trump wants a weaker currency. You can't trust the media, though. We all know that. David Jones says, ouch. No kidding. Chris says, give me your gold coins. So they're like medieval bandits. Yeah, I know. Pirates is what they are. Pirates. Arr, give me your gold. Arr. They're freaking pirates. And like I said, excuse me, who the hell do you complain to? Who do you tell? How do you fight that? You can't. And then they set up a payment program, and the payment program, the monthly payment is lower than the fees, penalties, and interest. It'll never be paid off unless the whole thing can be paid at once. There's nothing you can do. How do you fight that? How do you fight that? I'm glad that Doge is kicking that door open, because they're starting to work their way into the IRS now. They're just starting to get their foot in the door. And Trump doesn't like them either. He thinks they're weaponized against people. I believe it. I believe it. He doesn't want an IRS. He wants an ERS, an external revenue service for other services from government, like tariffs. Not an internal revenue service. He thinks that they torment people. And I agree, because I've been on the receiving end of it. It's a nightmare dealing with them. And like I said, you call them, we can't tell you anything. They won't even tell you anything about your own case. And they don't have to. They don't have to. Can you imagine? I mean, seriously, how does that work? You go to their offices, oh, we can't give you any information after you waited in line for 4 hours. We're not authorized to express anything about that. Whenever the tax attorney or the accountant used to have to call them, they have this system. The way it was explained to me, we just we have multiple clients we got a call for, and we just set the phone for if anyone ever picks up, and then try to do the best we can, because it takes hours sometimes before the call actually processes and goes through to a person. And Phil is here. Thanks for joining us today. So, I mean, yeah, taxes and IRS are a huge pet peeve of mine. Been on the receiving end of their torment, and I don't trust them at all. I don't trust their service at all. I have no reason to. And like I said, how do you prove it? How do you prove it? Who do you talk to? How do you fix that? There's no oversight. There's nobody that you can go to. They're another one of these government entities that investigates themselves. If you can even figure out who would do that. People are pretty much helpless to whatever they want to subject these people, these clients to. And I've mentioned it before, my tax attorney at that time, who was a former IRS agent, the reason that he got into being a tax attorney was guilt, because he had a handful of clients, I don't know how many, end themselves rather than continue on fighting with the IRS. And I guess at some point there was one too many. It was like, why do people keep doing this to themselves? Are they that terrified of us? Yeah, apparently some people are. So afraid, they figure they're better off just not here anymore. If you're working for an organization like that, you're working for evil. You're working for evil. Will Ferrell said it best. Will Ferrell was in a movie where he played an IRS agent, and he said, he says, hey, I work for the IRS. Nobody likes me. Yeah. Nobody. I bet. A huge pet peeve of mine, again, because of my personal experience with them. And I still owe them. I dread the thought of it. I hate doing the taxes every year. I wait till the last possible minute because I hate doing it. It's insulting. Hell, you already know everything anyways. What do you need me to verify it for and then penalize me if I don't? What kind of organization is this that you do this to people? I hate doing it because I've seen the ugliest side of it. You know, between that and child support. And I hate the child support too. I hate the child support because of how dishonest that entire system is. I had 2 exes. I wasn't married to either of them. I wasn't married to either of them. 2 exes. Okay. With 2 different cases with family court, the most corrupt of all courts in my experience. Again, no oversight. They do whatever the hell they want. Judge doesn't pay attention to anything. Judge doesn't do anything. You sit there and you plead your case and he ignores you, and then he asks the case manager what they think. It's very matriarchal, very female-centric. All the clerks are female. All the case managers are female. All the conciliators are female. All of the social workers are female. Everybody involved is female. All the counselors are female. And they lie. And they tell you, oh, well, you know, it's 50-50 in court. And then the attorney is like, that's the first lie. They tell you it's more like 88% female. If you're lucky. If you're lucky. They lie about what they're going to do. They're misleading. It's incredible. They set you up for a fall. Well, my first ex, and that was in 2003, and I've talked about this a lot on the podcasts and in other videos. They just handed her custody, and then they took him back in 2007 and basically begged me to take custody of him, because upon discovery from another social worker, it was found that she was abusing and neglecting both of them. These kids were were shoplifting potatoes at the local Kroger or Dillon's in Kansas, and eating raw potatoes in the frickin' parking lot, starving, living in a completely hoarded out house, like hoarders level house. So they practically begged me to take him back, which I did. But they handed her custody. Delo's here. Glad you could join us today or this evening. Well, no, it's not evening yet. It's 5:42 where I am, Eastern Standard Time. They originally charged me maintenance, which is a really nice way of saying alimony. They charged me maintenance, but she blew it in court. And they never recovered the maintenance. So they charged me maintenance. The judge decreed that they couldn't charge me maintenance when he took custody away. Stuck me with the child support, but he couldn't charge maintenance, but didn't give me any of the maintenance back that they had taken. Because we were coming from Massachusetts, and Massachusetts doesn't recognize common law. And when we were in Kansas, I never touched her. And she admitted in court that there was no fornication. And so the judge was like, well, there's no establishment of a relationship if there's no sexual contact. And I can't enforce a law over another state because Massachusetts doesn't have common law. So I can't allow maintenance under the law. I'm not going to set a precedence in court because there was nothing to establish. But they don't pay it back. Tuck has seen how crooked family court is through a relative. Yeah, I bet. But I still got stuck with the child support, and she got, and she was not a good parent, obviously. All the complaints in the world did no damn good until I was able to get photographs of the inside of the house, and that's what jumped things off with a social worker finally doing their damn job. And that judge, it was a new judge, she was upset. And she went off the record and was like, why the hell was this allowed to go on? I thought that the case management department had been doing visitations at the house, and they admitted in court they'd never been to her house, that they had falsified the reports. Do you think there was any follow-up on that? And they never, when they reversed the child support, they never enforced it. She's never paid. Her last payment was October of 2009. She owes like $10,000, $12,000 in child support. They'll never enforce it. They refused. The court trustee office refused to help me. Told me that I didn't qualify. Meanwhile, they send me threats constantly about my second ex because family court lied. told me that told me one amount for child support, but it was really something else. So it was twice what I thought it was. So I owe back child support. It's going to take forever to pay it off. Never sent me, to this day, I still have not received paperwork from them. Still, and it's been 10 years at least. Still never got paperwork from them. Every time I ask, okay, we'll send you something. Nothing. I have no verification. Told me that I had accepted child support in court. I never went to court. I never had a trial. Oh, well, it says on our records that you had a trial, that you had a phone conference with the judge. I never had a phone conference with the judge. My attorney never had a phone conference with the judge. I spoke to him after they told me that. And he was like, we didn't have a phone conference. But how do you fix that? Who do you go to? How much justice can you afford? How much? How much justice can you afford? I mean, that's really the issue, isn't it? I mean, if I had money coming out of my ears, I could go find a real shark of an attorney back in Kansas and go after them to a higher court and just expose the whole mess. And what will I get out of it? A feeble apology? Oh, we sincerely apologize on the part of the court. Yeah, sure. I don't care. I don't care. Is it going to prevent anybody from doing it again? No. I'm sure they've done that to 1,000 guys, and probably worse than whatever I've been through. No enforcement of visitation or lack thereof. They don't enforce anything unless it's for the female. They've lied. They've refused to cooperate. When I found out that the payment was supposed to be double what I was initially told, I asked for paperwork because you can request for or you can submit an official request for an adjustment, and they tried to deny it. They said, no, well, the judge is going to say no because you owe, so there's no point. And I'm like, yeah, but am I legally entitled to that paperwork or not? Well, technically, yes. Then send it to me. Had to ask them 10 times. Okay, we'll send it to you. They never did. I've asked the court trustee's office multiple times for that paperwork. They've never sent it. And they've never sent me any court orders. And I've requested, of course, transcript. Because if I had a phone conference, you got a recording. You record those. Audio. Where is it? Oh, we can't do that. Chris says, remember, we're raised as men that women are sugar and spice. Yeah, and everything nice. And we're supposed to be snaps and snails and puppy dog tails. I remember the song. That's going way back. Oh no, they're evil. Women can be very evil because they know there's a double standard. And many women will take advantage of that double standard, especially in court. There's some good women out there, but man, they're hard to find. They are hard to find. So, that's some of my biggest pet peeves between the taxes, the IRS, and child support, because everything they have shown me is that they are dishonest and untrustworthy, and that they're more interested in harming people than helping them. And then explain to me how it is that you get every family court I've ever been in. Oh, we won't talk to children. Your family court is custody. You're not going to talk to the kids, even in private? Well, we don't talk to kids. Oh, I'm not. I refuse to have children in my courtroom. I refuse to talk. You can't take the kids in chambers. They have no input. Okay. Okay. We don't listen to children. That's great. Family court. You putting families together or tearing them apart. And all of that ties into the justice system, which is like number 3 on the list. Obviously, family court in particular is a big part of the justice system, but I don't trust them at all. I've been on jury duty and seen how that doesn't work. But juries don't work. You can't trust those people. They don't give a shit about you, and they're not paying attention. The only thing they care about is when the hell can I go home, because they don't want to be there because they were forced to be on jury duty. It's a failure system. They were forced, and they make snap judgments, and they don't understand. They are not your peers because they don't know what the hell anybody's talking about. They're not your peers sitting in that stand. They don't know what the hell anything is. My wife, as an example, my wife used to work for Werner, the truck driving company. Okay. And they have the biggest problem, truck drivers, with fraud from motorists involved in accidents. Almost every single case, the reason why trucking companies are so quick to try to settle, almost every case that gets to court, they side against the trucking company. Even when there's clear evidence the truck driver was not at fault. And one of the videos that she was telling me about in her training, this guy comes across 4 lanes. He just beelines. He takes a hard right turn and just wham, cuts clean across. And the truck driver tried hard to stop and clipped the rear edge of that car. That guy clearly made an illegal turn. 5 lanes. They sided with the motorist because that's what people will do. They'll sit there and say, oh, it's the insurance company. Who gives a shit? That person's job, the expense that it costs for transporting goods across the country because of all of these frivolous lawsuits. How about that? The high cost of insurance. How about that? So what? If I need money, I should just go screw with a truck driver. I'm going to get a check no matter what. That's not fair. You can't trust juries. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Tuck here says, one of the people I knew got custody, raised her daughter in filth, lives that way to this day, drug addict, owned a house, ruined it, lost it. I hope I never see or hear from her again. Wow. That sounds like my first ex. I don't know what the hell happened to her. She just continued to get crazier and crazier. That's why we weren't together anymore. But man, getting those kids, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And then one day, they toss them back to me. And then I've mentioned this before. How crazy is this? They emancipate the oldest boy because of the severity of the abuse. Emancipate him from his mother. He never has to see her again. Any contact would have to be initiated by him. She's not to speak to him, see him, write him a letter, nothing, unless he requests it. But then they give the younger boy full visitation. Like, what makes you think he's getting treated any better? What the hell is this? Oh, and eventually she blew it anyways. She blew it anyways because they granted her transportation, which I was never able to get. But yeah, they granted her transportation. State was paying for it to pick up the kid and bring him back and forth for visits so that she didn't have to do it. And the transporter filed a complaint against her because he thought something, or she thought something was wrong with her. He was like, something's really weird with this woman. Something's not right. And again, mandated reporter made a complaint. Case manager insisted she comes in for a consultation. I want to have a meeting. And she kept canceling the meeting over and over and over again. And then eventually it got to the point where the case manager was like, okay, all visitation and contact is suspended until you come in and talk to me. And she never did. Never did. Because she didn't care. It was all about trying to give me a hard time. She didn't care about those kids. She didn't care. That's your justice system for you. Where's the justice? Where the hell is it? You can't trust the jury. You can't trust the judge. An attorney. You trust an attorney? An attorney is supposed to be impartial. He doesn't care if you're guilty or innocent. God forbid you get a court-appointed attorney. A court-appointed attorney will probably get you in more trouble than anything because they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. They'll take any deal. They'll bury you alive. Court-appointed attorney is the worst thing. You better off representing yourself than dealing with a court-appointed attorney. But an attorney's job is to defend people they know are guilty and persecute people they know are innocent. Let that sink in. Unless you just got this golden attorney that is going to sit there and say, oh, I can't take your case. It violates my ethics. Where's that guy? I want to see him. So you can't trust the attorney. You can't trust the district attorney. All he wants to do, or she wants to do, is put notches in their belt, make examples out of people, because it's a very political position. You can't trust the judge. Many judges' positions are very political. You can't trust the jury because they don't care about anything. If they even understand what's going on, because odds are they don't. Again, they are not your peers. Not really. Don't fill a box with 12 random people and tell me these are my peers. Seriously. You got a dozen people in there. Let's say it's a medical malpractice suit. Do you think any of them understand anything about medicine? But they don't know a damn thing. They barely know their own jobs. Justice. Guilty and or innocent until proven guilty. That came up today in the podcast. You're guilty until proven innocent. If I'm innocent, why am I in jail? Why am I being arrested? Why am I in court? Why do I need an attorney? Why do I have to demonstrate my innocence if I'm innocent until proven guilty? That's a lie. It's a narrative of the Western world, and it's a lie. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. I mean, I could go on and on and on those talking points. And again, based on not just the stories that I read every day, but my own personal experiences and my own professional experiences. All the corruption that I saw, even in the Juvenile Justice Authority, when I was working there. People trained. I was trained to lie to and mislead clients by the Juvenile Justice Authority. I've got a certificate in it. I've shown it on podcasts before. I can't remember what the certificate is called. They don't call it cheat your client, but it basically it's to a class. It was a class. It was a week-long class I was required to take to manipulate clients to trick them into agreeing to things that they wouldn't otherwise agree to. And that's just me in the director position, a warden at a halfway house for juveniles, YRC2. Can you imagine how much training a police officer or a detective gets in that? You'd be surprised some of the corruption I've seen from even just in the Juvenile Justice Authority. Some of the shady business, some of the cover-ups. And the further up the line you go, the worse it gets. Watch any of these true crime dramas. Well, my wife watches a ton of them where they interview the actual detective. And they all say the same, oh, I just knew, I've been doing this for 20 years and I had a gut feeling about this guy. And you were wrong because it wasn't him. And you pursued this person for 2-3 years and tormented them and they were innocent. And you won't apologize because you were just doing your job. Just doing my job. He's guilty of something. We're all guilty of something. We're all guilty of something. And I'm supposed to trust so-called justice. You'd be better off with anarchy. And that's the I've heard that before from people too. They're like, oh, that's why I'm an anarchist. I'm an anarchist. No, you're not. You operate completely within your own individual structure without kowtowing to government or authority at all. You show me where this is in the world that you're an anarchist. You would like to be an anarchist, maybe, but you pay taxes, you follow rules, you have a job. You're not an anarchist. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. Stop telling me you're an anarchist. I hear that. I hear that from people. Like, I'm an anarchist. That's why I'm an anarchist. Yeah. Oh, you don't pay your taxes, huh? You don't follow. You don't drive the speed limit. You don't follow any rules at all. You're not beholden to government. If you got arrested, you sit there and say, but I'm an anarchist. You can't arrest me. Okay, we'll just let you go then. No problem. That's how that works. You're not an anarchist. You're not. I know somebody's going to get mad at me for that, but you know what? Suck it up. Be mad if you want to. Won't help you. Everybody's mad. Everybody's mad all the time. I'm mad. I'm upset about a lot of that stuff. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. YouTube shadow banning the hell out of me. IRS and child support looking over my shoulder. Justice or lack thereof. There's no such thing. There is no such thing. Hardly ever. And then they lie to you about what justice is. They lie to you about what it is. Justice apparently is throwing someone in jail and having the taxpayers foot the bill. Oh, he's in jail. We got justice. Oh, yeah? You know why they used to stone people in the Bible, right? It's to keep a public, I've mentioned this many times, it's to keep a public nuisance from also becoming a public burden. You've got someone, if you know that they're guilty, okay, and you got to be careful because there are people sitting in jail who are innocent. I've read several stories about them. If you know the person's guilty, they should be eliminated if it's a heinous crime. Because now they get to continue to be a burden on society for however long they're sitting in prison because your tax dollars are paying for it. And depending upon the maximum level, what kind of security it is, it could be hundreds of thousands a year for certain prisoners to be detained. In maximum security, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars per prisoner of your tax dollars for them to get 3 hots in a cot for the next 40 years. And you know they're guilty of murder or whatever. This is why in the Bible, it wasn't as a deterrent to crime. It was to make sure they couldn't continue to bleed off of society. That's the real purpose behind capital punishment. Tuck says, agreed, being an anarchist is a theoretical condition. If I have my druthers kind of thing, same for minocrists, which is my learning. I'd prefer minocrism ain't happening. Did I pronounce that right? Minocrism? I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, what they tell you is justice is not justice. Justice is not, oh, well, dude killed your family and confessed to it, but we got him. We got justice now because he's sitting in jail. Tuck says minarchism, minimal government. Yeah, what Trump's trying to do, reducing government. That's what Reagan tried to do too. Didn't work out. It got bigger. That's not justice. It's not justice for you to be paying for that person out of your tax dollars for God knows how long. I don't care if they are miserable in jail. That is not just. You've been cheated out of justice. You've been cheated into believing that a prison industrial complex is justice. That's what happened. You've been cheated into believing that a prison industrial complex is justice. So, I mean, yeah, that's my 3 big things: child support, IRS, and so-called justice. You can't trust none of them. I've had very bad experiences with them, primarily due to their dishonesty. And they take advantage of you. And God forbid, if you were to lie to them, you'd be buried alive. They can lie to you all day. You can't do it. You can't do it because they're the government, so you get charged. It's dangerous to lie to them. Nature Nerd says Somaliland is anarchist. Yeah, how's that working out for him? How's that working out for him? I can also make an argument for rap culture. There's people that think that CIA invented rap. Well, I mean, you could blame so-called rap and hip-hop culture for the dynamic that you're seeing in society today to a point. But originally rap, hold on a second, I have records. When I was growing up, here we go, rap looked like this. Remember these guys? It's the Fat Boys. The definitive 80s rap album. This is harmless. It's just goofy, is what it is. There's no slapping booties and N-words and kill the police and all that in these records. It got transformative in the early 90s. It turned into something really ugly. Really ugly. Here's the last decent hip-hop album right here. 3 Feet High and Rising from De La Soul. It's the last halfway decent hip-hop album. How does it sound now? It's horrible. But that depravity of culture goes back a lot further than early 90s rap and hip-hop, so you can't really blame that. You can't really blame that. Watch Coolie High. 1975, Coolie High. It's a really accurate depiction. You want to see the worst rap album of all time? I've shown this before. Mr. T's attempt at rap. Absolutely horrible. He never should have done this. If you thought that Macho Man Randy Savage's rap album was bad, you've heard nothing yet. Look up Treat Your Mother Right. I think that's the main rap on this album. You can find it on YouTube if you can sit all the way through it. Hold on. One more. Why not? One more. How about this one? I love the photo, though. I love the photo. That's fantastic. Kind of a Zero Moistel feel to it, if you know who that is. This is this had a video, actually. There's a music video affiliated with that. Tuck wants Cool Mo D's Knowledge is King. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I've gone on long enough. So I'll go ahead and sign out. Not affiliated. This video is not. I don't think this is going to end up on Fistful of Radio, because they usually capture the podcast and put it on, put it in one of their, I think it's at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fistful of Radio, the traditional podcast. See, fistfulofradio.com. This probably won't end up there, but yeah, just like I said, feeling out a different time slot, checking the audio, doing a couple of other things, and ranting, which a lot of people seem to like. But anyway, I'll go ahead and sign off. Thanks. Yeah, Dilo says 2 lives today. Indeed. Thank everybody who was able to join us. Hope you got something out of it. And I guess if you watch the regular podcast, I will probably see you tomorrow.